we have started. Let me share on the X that we have started. Okay. So we're in beautiful Dubai here, and well, those that know Dubai can guess where I am, based on these images. Um, Orientation is good, I think. Um, it says I need to turn my device, but I don't want to do that. How do I? Strange. That looks right. Yeah, I think it's okay, huh? So like this, horizontal is okay, the orientation, huh? That's, you have a white screen, huh? That's good, thank you. Nice to see you join Mr. Fool. So yeah, I think I can start with talking a little bit about Dubai because I'm very impressed with Dubai, and I think you can learn a lot from Dubai. Um, I think the immigration problem, especially in Europe, we can learn a lot on how they do that here. Um, so I think that on one hand, Europe needs to be more strict with immigration, but on the other hand, needs to be a bit less afraid also of Muslim and Islam religion. Um, so Dubai, what they have created is very impressive. So they don't really have an immigration problem. Um, People, of course, some people will overstay the visa that work here, but it happens a lot less than in Europe. And people really are here to work, not to live from the government. That's not possible in Dubai. Huh? And um, so a lot of people that come here to work from Africa or from India, low-paying jobs, they, and they also return. They have to return because they cannot bring their family, and even if they are able to bring their family, it's only a residence permit that needs to be renewed, and without a job you can't survive here, these people. So like if they lose the job, like they need to go home. And yeah, so I think first of all the welfare state, but the problem is actually in Dubai they also have a welfare state, but it's only for citizens, and you cannot become a citizen. That's the big difference, and I think we should probably do that also in Europe. Like in Dubai, when you come here to work or to live, so many Westerners, they come to live here, they get a residence permit, but they cannot become a citizen. That means they don't get any voting power. Of course, it's not a democracy here, but even if it would be a democracy, you can actually not vote because you can't get the citizenship. And I think that's very important, and that's how Dubai is able to pull this off. Because Dubai is a Muslim country. How is it possible that they allow basically Westerners to live here with Western habits and culture that goes really against many of the traditional conservative Muslim values, such as walking around half naked, being intimate in public, even gay, allowing gays, and like in Dubai, it's not actually like, I'm quite shocked at the things I see here. It's not, you wouldn't even know it's a traditional Muslim country. You see these things here, and actually not gays. I've not seen gays, but like people walking in just the way they do on Western beaches, and even being intimate, holding hands or giving a kiss. It's possible here. Of course, Dubai has changed a lot because 10 years ago, 20 years ago, actually it was more. You still had laws against that, but that's changing. But at the same time, you see lots of very conservative Arab people here also, like with white clothing, the man, and the women with black, fully black clothing, jihad, totally covered. You see that a lot also here. And I am very impressed on how tolerant they are towards Western people. A lot more tolerant actually than Westerners are, and me myself included, towards seeing the same thing happening in Europe, in Belgium, or where I'm originally from, or Switzerland. When I see their women with jihads, totally covered with black jihads, like, I don't like it, and many people don't like it. Yet here in Dubai, the people the other way around don't seem to bother that much to see Westerners half naked walking around, or doing things that they're not supposed to do according to their culture, such as holding hands or giving a kiss in public, or without marriage, making children. So. And I think the big difference is why they are able to be tolerant towards that is because they are not afraid to lose their own culture. And that's the big difference. They are not worried. They are not afraid of the foreigners living in their country, but because they know very well that these people cannot change their culture. They have zero power. They only have a temporary residence permit. Even if it's a permanent one, it needs to be renewed, and they'll never get the citizenship. And so everything is really like they are likely to leave sooner or later also. And so it's a positive for them. Immigration is a positive. They either bring money and to their economy and they spend their money here, or they come to work and they provide low-paying jobs. Like all the services that the locals don't want to do are done by foreigners here, but it's done in an attractive way because you don't have a minimum wage here. So what you see is that people earn money here, but some people call that slave labor, but I don't think that's correct to say. It's not slave labor. These people come voluntarily here. They need to stay 2 years, then they can for 2 months go home, and they work very hard for what's considered a low wage in Europe. But for them it's a big step forward. Many people in Africa or in India, they are not able to save any money from where they are. They could not even find a job, and if they can, it's only to survive, not to save any money. But here they do a job, and actually after 2 years they have actually saved enough money to buy a small piece of land in their home country or start a business in their home country. Or maybe they have to do it 10 years, not 2 years, but they're able to build something better for themselves thanks to working in Dubai. And they can't do it in Europe because they are not welcome in Europe, because immigration policies are so strict. That's also a problem. Like for me, I'm in Dubai because I can't even invite my family over from Africa into Europe. They always get denied the visa applications. Even just a simple tourist visa gets denied because they're afraid that they're going to overstay their visa in Europe. And that's true. That's a justified risk. But why is that? It's because there is no, like, they should kick out people that overstay their visa. But they don't do that in Europe, or they do that only a little bit. And so then of course you get a lot of illegal immigration, and then you have to close your borders and be very strict with visa applications, and then people cannot just visit anymore. Just even honest tourists, even honest people that want to really work, they can't get work permits, they can't get tourist visas, and even people like me that have a family outside of the continent or the country can't bring them over. And these are people that really integrate, but they can't come over neither. So that's the problem when when you have a lax immigration, when you don't kick out people that overstay, and then you of course going to also stop allowing new people in, because it becomes a floodgate then. So yeah, I think that's very interesting to see how Dubai does that. Hi all, welcome to the live show. Let me look at the comments here. Hi Isabel. Um, she says she's back in crypto. That's great to see, Isabel. Um, Coach says, hey Mark, how can I grow 0.0001% of your net worth? Um, you start small and you build it up, um, by saving and investing. Mm. Hi, my guy Dow. Shane says, hi, Mark. Um, he says he wants to go to Dubai too. Good idea. Swimming pool on a skyscraper. That's correct. We are very high here. And we're looking over the Palm Islands. Also, very impressive what they've built here in Dubai. Um, of course, what we can also learn from Dubai is low taxes. And the welfare state should only apply to citizens, and you should not be able to become a citizen if you're an immigrant. That's probably what Europe needs to do, and America, um, to get a place like Dubai. Um, that the citizenship should not be based on, and I'm not speaking for myself because I also hope that my family becomes citizen. But there's a lot of abuse of the system. Um, yeah, Europe has a very big immigration problem because first, second, third generation immigrants, they are marrying people from outside the country, Muslims, especially conservative Muslims, and they're bringing a lot of new immigrants the legal way by marriage, but yeah, they're not integrating, and they start changing the system because you get voting power. And what you see is that in London now, for example, they're voting Muslims in power. The mayor of London is a Muslim, and then they start creating laws that we don't want in the West, like no freedom of speech. If you say something bad about Allah or religion, or you say something that's considered racist, you go to jail. Mm, that's not our values, but that's of course inevitable that that's going to happen if you give voting power and they become a majority. So that system should really change, or it's going to become a real big problem. Yeah, and I think we will see this kind of direction for Europe. There's no other way. Mm, it's a beautiful place here. So yeah, what I love about Dubai also is that the free market really works well, thanks to low taxes, um, and lots of cheap labor. Um, you have great services everywhere, because you can employ people. It's cheap to employ people because they allow many immigrants in to work here from poor countries, and so you can employ them. And what's also shocking about Dubai is actually, I don't know if this is correct, but I get the impression that citizens from Dubai have a very, very, very cushy life. Like they get actually just money from the government. Um, they don't have to work very hard for that, um, and and they can have a mansion and multiple wives. Um, for not doing much. That's the impression I have, but I could be wrong about that. I didn't study it. But so of course then they are in favor of the system. If they all profit from the growth of the country, then they are in favor of it. Mm, um, Yeah, what do you guys want me to talk about? Investing, ladies, polygamy, uh, relationships, parenting. These are the things that keep me busy a lot. So I have some expertise in the area. But I got one question only, and that was about how can I get build net worth. And I think, yeah, saving money, investing is important. So I was looking to inherit some capital, but it's what you do with it, inheritance that matters and will decide your future, not getting the actual inheritance unless it's a lot. Of course, then you can be a visa papa and live from the inheritance, but that's very then you have to really inherit a lot. Usually, what you inherit well can give you an edge, but you still have to, like in my case, I could buy a house or I could invest it, and I chose to invest it, and okay, that's really has worked well for me. But it's been a long process of learning to invest, and it has to be also fitting with you a bit. We each have different talents, and you have to be really interested in that also. Investing is very hard. It's very easy to be positive after it goes up, and it's very easy to become negative after it goes down, and your sense will make you do the wrong thing. It's very difficult to do the right thing, and yeah. So but investing, yeah, the biggest, most important lesson is that yeah, inflation is a bitch, and over the long term, inflation, yeah, as long as they keep printing money, um, inflation goes up, and that means that hard assets are a good investment, whereas soft assets such as saving accounts or bonds or cash, these are bad investments. But you also have exceptions. There are always corrections, and then these are temporarily good investments, but that doesn't last long usually. But then, of course, there's a risk for a depression also, like we just saw. I mean, just the president of the United States can really, if he wants to, really destroy the global economy, and you can get a depression like in the 30s, and then values can go down 80%, 90% of the stock market of crypto. I mean, that's a very low probability, but it's possible also. So, yeah, you always have to try to cover all bases, and that's very difficult. I, for example, I don't have any gold, and yeah, that was a pretty tight spot only 2 months ago. Gold was the only thing that went up, all the rest down. Yeah, so that then you learn, like, okay, maybe I should have some gold also. It's not the right time usually to act on that immediately, but it's good to put it in the back of the head for when the opportunity is there to stash some gold also. Wow, Isabel, lots of interesting questions. What's your view on the current market? What is your wisdom for leading a long-term successful relationship? And how do you define love? Now that's a difficult question. The first one was easy, view on the market. But the last one, how do you define love? I don't think I have the answer to that. What is your wisdom for leading a long-term successful relationship? I've had many failed relationships, 5 or so, or maybe something like that in my 20s and 30s. And then towards the middle of my 30s, end of my 30s, I started to really wanting to build a family, and so looking for women to start a family with, and I have been able to keep 2. I lost one relationship with the women that I had started making children with, so I have still 2 of the 3, and I added a new 3rd one, and that's going well. I think that it's a mixture of you have to follow your attraction. That's what I always have done. Like I really want to be attracted to someone physically, as a man. I want to be attracted to a woman before I'm gonna start. And then, yeah, the character, that's a bit a hit and a miss. You need to be compatible, and you have to be a bit lucky with that. And of course, you need to improve your character over time. Also, try to the negatives, try to improve them, and hope, and also insist from your partner that they improve over time the negatives. Um, and But yeah, it's not within your power if someone's gonna stay with you or not. Um, and Yeah, I think for a man versus woman, it's quite different. Also, what's important, huh? Um, what you should look at, huh? Um, and yeah, I have a polygamous relationship, so some values are very different than from a monogamous relationship. Um, so yeah, it's a very big question, Isabel. Maybe if you have some more detailed questions, yeah, I can tell some more about it. My view on the market, I'm bullish. I think that it's more likely that we will end the year at 7,000, and so have another strong bull run this year. Then for the S&P 500, we're almost at 6,000. Then that we're going sideways or down. That's my opinion. That's the most probable scenario, I think. I got especially big inspiration from Mel or Matt, Mel Mattison. I've shared his work also on X, and I think yeah, his vision is what I believe is most likely to happen. Um, it's true that there are lots of red flags for a recessionary collapse, but yeah, I think that it will likely just come later. Huh? And that's just the general stock market. Crypto, I think, is a lot easier actually to say, because it's very clear that crypto cycle is not over for me. The best evidence is the BTC dominance. It has only been going up since the bottom. And Before the end of a crypto cycle, you always have that BTC dominance collapses strong, from 60% to around 20% or 30%. So as long as that has not happened, it's not likely that crypto cycle is over. But as we all know, that doesn't matter that much. What matters is what the stock market will do. Um, and that's, of course, a lot harder question to answer. Um, but yeah, what I do is I try to buy opportunities. It's very rare that I actually invest in something. Uh, and I try to sell things that are clearly overvalued, and otherwise I don't do much. And Yeah, that's already hard enough. But of course, I put my less energy also into investing these days, and I outsource more. I invest in different funds now, and yeah, I do a lot less myself. Um, it would be great to hear about. Yeah, Roke asks here which altcoins you think would perform better this season. I'm the worst altcoin picker, so I'm the wrong person to ask. Um, I wouldn't know. I have myself Ethereum, BCH, Zano, and a little bit of XMR also. And these were my own picks. Um, Binance Chain Coins. Yeah, I don't know much about that. Solana coins also, I don't know much about that. Um, yeah, what my market view on Zano. Um, Zano is a small cap coin, so that's positive. And Roger Ver also um, believes in it and promotes it. It's now also in the Bitcoin.com wallet, something new, FUS dollar. So it's a stable coin that you can probably send on Zano, totally private. And yeah, that could be a hit. Um, so yeah, but you know, that's a high risk investment. It could fail. Um, so I would only put a little bit in Zano and hope that it works out and keep it for a couple of years. And then you can make lots of money or it can go nowhere. Huh? And what's overvalued in my opinion is Bitcoin BTC. And that's really not worth $1 trillion or 2 trillion. Um, and S&P 500 is overvalued versus world index and European index and emerging markets. I think China is undervalued versus the US. And so that's actually what I'm now looking at, investing in BYD and other EV companies in China. And it's worth 10 times less than Tesla, BYD, but it has the same revenues. And actually revenue growth is actually now higher than Tesla. And I see that also in Dubai. And like, actually, Tesla is really losing ground to BYD. And it needs to up its game. Even on the FSD front, full self-driving, yes, Tesla is ahead there. But in China, they're also doing these things. Same with AI agents and like, okay, Tesla is a great investment. I still think I still have 10%, 12, 13% of my portfolio in that. And these are actually call options on Tesla. So I still take a lot, so I risk a lot investing in Tesla. I still believe in it, but I wouldn't underestimate the Chinese here. And I think that's where the opportunity is right now. China is really has big problems now in the economy, in the stock market also. It's been going sideways for 30 years now. That's really quite impressive and probably a generational opportunity. I was against investing in China up until recently, but I've changed my mind on it. I think my criticisms towards China are true, but you know, there's always, of course, lots of negatives to invest in something. And the question is, how will it evolve towards the future? I think China did well in submitting themselves to the United States tariff situation, and basically they allowed the United States to raise tariffs on them, which was really required for the United States, and they were very wise to accept that. So I think this tariff war is probably over, and yeah, I think we're still likely in a long-term stock bull market. It has just been too short. I don't think the rebound of gold shows that commodities, that we're in a commodity bull market. No. Yes, gold did strong, but that's because of specific reasons in gold, but not in commodities in general. So I don't believe we're in a commodity bull market, but I do have 20% of my portfolio investing commodities, a fund that's long oil service companies, and but I don't think we're in an oil commodity cycle, and so because of the duration of the stock bull markets. That's an argument I've given for a long time, and I think it still holds. And so that means that just the stock market the bull market will just disperse and overflow. And of course, it always starts with the strongest companies, and that's the Magnificent Seven, the US stocks, but the best of the US stocks. These are the strongest companies. They pumped first, together with US stocks in general, but small caps US stocks not yet. That's next, and Europe is next, and after that, emerging markets are at the same time, because emerging markets are not. I mean, the world is a bit changing also. We're not talking about third world countries here. When you say emerging markets, Latin America, many places there are not so much behind the West anymore, and do things better actually, or at least are building something with better foundations these days. For example, Venezuela, the things I hear about there. Actually, like, yeah, that was a total communist nightmare. But these days, that's all gone. And all the criminals that were running the country are chased out. And in Argentina, yeah, that's a socialist nightmare. But the way they're running the country now, it's a free market. It's just a total dream come true for a free market libertarian like me. Emerging markets, China actually is actually leading in innovation over Western Europe in certain areas now. For example, mobile phones. Huawei has just released the threefold. That's a phone that you can expand threefold. It looks like just a normal phone, but it turns into a tablet. And I've never seen that from iPhone or even Samsung or yeah. And yeah, and actually battery technology, Tesla buys it from China, from BYD. So things are changing, and as an investor, you need to invest capital where those that deserve it, and those that are undervalued, those that are pushing the envelope, or pushing things forward. And that's also true in the cryptocurrency world. Project like PCH, yeah, it really has not gone well price-wise, but they are still developing things there. They're still innovating things. It could still succeed, though it's a low probability, but you also get it quite cheap. It's actually the same price as 7 years ago. And not a dead project just yet. But it could fail. But Zano, well, privacy coins, private assets, private stable coins, that's innovation. That you can't find on Ethereum. So yeah, you have to invest in the innovators, but Ethereum is still also a good investment, I think, because actually they have the adoption. They have innovated a lot, not as much these days anymore, but yeah, it still has to, I think, happen for them. Like they do get almost all. They are leader in DeFi, in real world assets. Any company that wants to launch a real world asset is going to launch on the Ethereum chain. Except for meme coins, their Solana is leading. That's true. So that's good for that. But yeah, Solana is hyped. Like, as an investor, the question is it priced in? And I think it is priced into Solana, but not for Ethereum as much. Or, yeah. Hi, Isabel. Glad you like my answers about relationships. Uh, there's someone else in Dubai here. um, Anthony, how can one mitigate the risk associated with crypto trading? You should not be trading. That's not something that you can make money on. Huh? You should be investing. Are there any guarantees for profits in crypto trading? No. Isabel says that she really likes the new health minister of the US, Robert Kennedy. In my opinion, he's a very right about vegetable seed oils being extremely harmful for health. I've been avoiding them for ages. Yeah, also really nice. Yeah, I think Trump administration is coming through. Um, it's really, I'm so happy he won the election, but yeah, I had some doubts with the trade war there. Like, what was that? But yeah, actually, now that I see how he's actually settling and does make deals and okay, yeah, good. And then he played it well. But on many other areas, wow. I'm impressed, but I like to see more if possible. Like dropping the case of Roger Ver would be good because that's I think unjust. Um, but yeah, really awesome. Also, the allowing white refugees from South Africa, and I think is also a genius move and very humanitarian move and very necessary. Um, yeah, there's so many things that has happened there that are great. Um, so let's hope it continues for the next few years. But yeah, this is something also that gives me confidence that the bull market will continue because, of course, that's important. Good leadership is important, and I think America finally has that after decades, many decades. I mean, the previous Trump regime was good, but he didn't do that much. He's doing a lot more now, so that's very good. Um, and I agree with you, Isabel, that food is a real problem in the United States. Um, I'm not a fan of regulations, but when it comes to food, I have to say that the Europeans did a better job than the Americans. It seems that they really have some very unhealthy stuff there that they are allowing that's not allowed in Europe, and that's good to see. So yeah, I mean, good for Europe, but yeah, they are now correcting that, and that's good for the US. Any thoughts about SUI? Because new coins generally outperform older coins, and it's a layer one. Actually, I'm also investing in SUI via following Sonny his work, Sonny Mulder. Um, um, he has a portfolio sharing, and he's also has invested in SUI, so I'm also doing that. It could be a good play on the whole Solana hype, I think. So yeah. Yeah, so Isabel says physical and emotional attraction is indeed important in a relationship and as a start. Huh? And we can't control character and personality. We get to know it over time. Yes, that's very true. Um, yeah, I like very much that I was able to be a provider and that my women can focus on being a housewife and mother and not having to provide. And that's something that yeah, that I think makes a big difference because, of course, you can of course make it work also if also the woman is making money, and most modern relationships have to work that way. But I think Yeah, there's a lot of misguidance there, and as a man, you really need to focus on trying to be a provider and trying to get your woman the freedom that she doesn't have to go to work and that she still can make ends meet, um, so that she can really focus on, if you want children, on the household and taking care of the children and you. And I think that's very important. And there are always exceptions. Some women are geniuses and they want a career, they want to build a business, and they are good at that. Yes, and that's I think that's a step forward, that we allow that in our society, modern society. But that's just an exception. On average, I think that's not for most women. And most women, this whole idea, this new idea that you also see in Africa, that you should be financially independent and make sure you can like provide for yourself, and that you cannot rely or should not rely on a man. That's really wrong, I believe, because that's just the genius of a partnership between man and woman. Is one focus on making money, the other one focus on children. It's really a very, very nice cooperation. I always have to, I constantly work on that to have that work better. So I'm quite conservative in that regard. Yeah. There's another YouTuber I follow that I think is very good also. I will put it in I put a link to one of his last video in the description of this one later when it's finished, and I'll put it in as a link on the end screen. And he does monthly market overviews. His opinion is it's more likely we get a double bottom or a bottom a little bit lower than the 4,800 we saw on the S&P 500, and I think that's also certainly possible. So now it really jumped up a lot from 4,800 to 5,800 in just a month or so, and it could just go back down again also before the bull rally continues. That's also possible. But will I play that? I've not planned to play that. Actually, yeah, I'm planning to sell a little bit of crypto if it continues to go up, but only like maybe 5% or so. But no, not even. Only like 1-2%. So yeah. But I think just like I just shared also on X, just selling altcoins right now, like I don't think that's the right time. Like the valuation is way too low compared to its trend line. We're at 80% undervalued versus trend line. We're at 1 trillion or so for all altcoins combined, and fair value or trend line is around 14 or 5 trillion. That's a lot higher. And so yeah, I think should really not sell altcoins here. Um, yeah. Finance with Sonny. Hi, Sonny. He says, great to catch you live. I'm viewing from the start of the stream. Best wishes, my man. Weather looks amazing there. And so do you. Thank you, Sonny. Yeah, and I just also shared with the audience that you're investing in Sui. Um, so yeah, follow Sonny on X. Harvey Williams. Hi, nice to see you. Um, Glad to see you're doing well. Unfortunately, I completely misjudged the market this year and made tremendous mistakes. It's been my worst year in investing by far. I'm really sorry, Harvey. That sucks. And we all go through that. So, yeah, just try to learn from it. And then then you feel better, eh? If you can, like, pinpoint to what you did wrong and why you did it wrong, then you feel better and not so bad about it anymore, and you learn a lesson. That's the only thing you can do, huh? Um, and yeah, actually, the risk correction also made me realize I made some mistakes that I need to correct. In my case, I was really not happy. I was 50% in 1 month in February, March. I couldn't believe it. I thought I had a diversified portfolio, and I'm down in 2 months. I lose half of the value, and it shows me that yeah, everything was correlated again. My stocks, Tesla mainly, was correlated with my crypto. I was even correlated with my commodities, which was oil. Uh, all went down at the same time, and I didn't have any gold. So, and I also didn't have other uncorrelated investments that could have helped, such as maybe real estate in certain areas, and it's a good investment. Like for example, in Africa, you have actually real estate where you have 10% rental income. The value is not going down, and the stock market goes down. Um, you have also managed futures. I don't know that, but these are also uncorrelated investments. So yeah, I'm gonna study these things more. But especially gold, I should probably start investing in that. Um, so I hope you're getting through that, Harvey. And you can feel better and not so bad about it anymore. When do you participate the crypto bubble to hit its peak? If the stock market continues to do well, once we really start with altcoin season, then it can go fast, but that's another 4 months at least. Like the previous altcoin seasons, and I think decentralized Dave, I share his work also, but I think he's really wrong about altcoin season. He says that takes like 2 weeks. No, altcoin season takes 4 months. If you look at 2018 and and the next one, that was 2021. Sorry, 2017. You had the altcoin season of 4 months, and I believe 2021 also. And first time it dropped from 80 to 30% or market share, BTC dominance, and the second time from was it 60% to 30% again or so. And that took 4 months. So like, but after that, I don't know. So if you see BTC dominance go down, and then it's only 4, 5 months, 6 months away that you have the top. But yeah, BTC dominance should drop between 40, at least below 40%. And these are the kind of like targets that I look at. Just me says, I'm following your YouTube account since a long time. I still remember you with your suit, tie, and big black chair talking about gold. Wow, just me, that's indeed very long. I started making videos in 2009, actually. That big black chair was in 2009. That's when I started my first videos indeed. So, wow, you have a very good memory. And that was during the financial crisis, the great financial crisis that they say of 2008. I did quite well, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna focus on investing, and I'm starting a YouTube channel and a financial blog. I stopped the blog, but I replaced that with XN. So yeah, great. Thanks so much for following so long, man. We're 2025, huh? So that's 16 years you've been following me. I don't look as young anymore, but a little bit richer, so that's good. And more women too, as well as children. Isabel says you were one of the main reasons I got back into crypto in 2019. Oh, is that so, huh? That's great to hear, Isabel. Yeah, you've made some great calls also, huh? Was it you? I'm not sure, it was a woman. But I sold my Tesla in 2020, way too early, at the end of 2020. Way too early, and my calls also. Oh my god, that was a big loss, a missed opportunity for me, and a big lesson learned to sell in steps. Don't sell big, because in a bull market always goes a lot higher than you expect. So you sell in steps, you're gonna be able to keep selling, and you don't sell like you always sell a percentage of your position. For example, 50%. Okay, and after that you can sell again 50%. And then you can sell again 50%. But you never sell 100%. Unless like it's absolutely clear and you already have sold several steps and you're really done with it and it's absolutely clear, like okay, but I don't know if that was you, Isabel. I don't know who, it was a lady, I remember. She said, no, don't sell it. She was right. Yeah. I sold the Tesla then, I bought at 200, that's before the splits. In 2019 at 200 I bought it, went up to 1,000, I sold. And then it went to 3,000 the year after. But that was not the big loss in opportunity. The big loss were my calls, where I like double, tripled, fourfolded my money, and I sold the calls, and it actually 100-folded these calls. So yeah, these are big missed opportunities that I could have made a gigantic difference financially for me. And I have several of such examples actually. Decentralized Dave joined too. I just talked about you. Harvey Williams says, what is your outlook for the crypto and S&P over the next 5 years? Yeah, so I think we'll continue a bull run. Sometimes I share the long-term historical performance of stocks, and yeah, I think we're only reaching now an average return of 10% or so for stocks, but gold is about the same, and I think it's very likely that that stocks will go higher, average return of the past 10 years for longer. So I think stocks will be a lot higher, and crypto also in 5 years. But inflation will continue to be high also, 5%. Real inflation 5-6% per year. And if you deduct that from the returns, then actually returns are a lot more reasonable. Unknown. Yeah. Okay. Let me sip from and I think what Dubai has done very well, also the UAE, is be welcoming to people and not be a party in war. It's very wise of them. In the war between Russia and the West, Ukraine and the West, they did take any side, and all people remained welcome. Russians remained welcome, as well as Europeans and Americans remained welcome. And that was such a big mistake by the West to kick out Russian citizens from banks, even residence permits. Like that's how you really lose your edge. Even Switzerland did that. kicking out Russian citizens, even if they are a citizen of another country too. If they also have a Russian citizenship, you kick them out. Huh? Like that's not being a neutral country at all. Huh? You want to be a financial center? That's not gonna fly. Huh? Dubai is a new financial center, huh? And Singapore, who remained neutral, and Hong Kong, huh? Who remained neutral. But Switzerland, no. So yeah. Decentralized Dave asked if I talked about a recession and if I believe we will have one in 2025. Yes, I talked about it shortly. I agree we have big red flags, and Sonny has great work that he's keeping track of a table of all the red flags, and we're at 50% chance according to his table that we're going to have a recession. I think that's great work. But yeah, I think it will fly over. I think the red flags will go down. I don't think we will see a recession. Or at least not one that matters. Huh? What matters is stocks go up or down. Crypto goes up or down. And yeah, we may technically have a recession, but if stocks and crypto are not go down considerably, then you should just remain long. And that's, I think, what will happen. And yeah, I follow Mel Mattison, his work there the most, and his opinion is, yeah, it's just like, it's always the same story. They'll inflate the problems away, huh? And so now you have a big trade deficit. That's a big problem. A very high debt of the United States. How will they solve that? Same way that they solved it 50 years ago. After the war, there was also a massive debt bubble, government debt bubble, and while they kept the debt quite constant, but in the meantime they keep printing, and price level of everything goes up and up and up and up, and the debt becomes lower and lower versus the GDP over time, and that's happened already before, and that will likely happen again. And so, yeah, this government debt bubble is the same as the banking bubble we had in 2006-7. That was ending there, where you had massive bank balance sheets of massive amounts of debt outstanding that they had there on their balance. But how was that resolved? You can have a crisis, yeah, and actually you had a big crisis there, and the markets did correct a lot, 50%. But the banks don't go broke. The government just print money and they buy the government, the bank debt, and the banks stay up, and the inflation that was created before by a bank debt bubble remains intact, because the bubble is saved and keeps standing. The debt bubble does not collapse. The same is likely happening with the debt bubble that the government of the United States has created and many other sovereign countries. That debt bubble will not collapse. They will not default on that debt. They will keep paying interest. But if interest rates go up, it's just the Fed will start monetizing that debt, printing lots of money again, buying up all treasuries to keep interest rates not going from too high, and so monetize the debt. And that means the debt bubble remains there. But they will try in other ways to reduce the deficit, the gigantic deficit, slowly, and that's the right way. Trump is doing that for the markets in the best way, in that, and I all have this from Mel Mattison, is that if he would really go Austrian economics on us, which I would do, is that you really need to cut back spending a lot of the government. He's not doing that, just cutting the spending of his enemies, but for his own military defense, spending is up, and overall spending is up, and but that's good for the markets, because the markets will freak out if you cut the government budget with 1 trillion from 3 trillion or 4 trillion to 1 trillion or 2 trillion. That's going to create a massive correction, which I think would be good, but people don't want that, and he's a democratic elected leader, and he wants to be re-elected, and so he's not gonna probably do that. Huh? And so they keep spending a lot, but at the same time, they just keep the ship afloat. Huh? But the way Mal Mattison explains it, they just create unexpected inflation. That's how they solve the problem. That's what they did with COVID also. Huh? Unexpected inflation, and everybody only learns a year later, everything is going up so much, oh my god, and then later it just stays all very high, these prices. What happened? Well, what happened was that a massive amount of money was printed, and the correction was only very short-lived because of that. So yes, it's possible that we're gonna get a serious correction due to a serious crisis in the government debt bubble. That's possible. The interest rates suddenly start spiking, and a massive correction in the stock market. That's possible. But for sure, it will be bailed out. And maybe a small country would go broke, but not the big ones. Just like with the banks. Maybe an enemy country will go broke, but most not. Like Panama, for example, could go broke because they can't print their own US dollars. And they couldn't, and they might not get a bailout, and so they may default on their debt, but the United States won't go broke. So, but such a correction would really create big opportunities to buy cheap, but that's you can't bet on that, because that could be years away. Isabel says, yes, I remember your Tesla sell. Lots of lessons for all of us during those times. I remember a young lady talking to you during an in-person meeting in Amsterdam who was very bullish on Tesla. Yeah, that was the lady indeed. You remember also. Harvey Williams asked, where is the best place to live in the next 20 years? I'm not sure about that, but actually I'm a lot more positive about the United States than many people are. I think I find the United States attractive actually to live, and it could actually really improve with this new right center administration that we will likely have for a long time now, 10-20 years maybe. So yeah, I think that's interesting. That could be interesting. Of course, you have the tax problem in the United States. That's a real problem, I think. Capital gains taxes, and that's also something in Dubai, resident Dubai or Singapore, taxes are low. Also in Switzerland, you can have tax deals as a foreigner with relative low taxes if you're a high net worth individual. But in America, they have different solutions for that. They put the money not on personal account but in trusts, and I don't know how they actually do it, but I do think they have a real big problem with capital gains tax, because that really keeps you from not selling your assets, and that works very well for them, but that can really sooner or later really not work also. So yeah, that's a real problem, I think. So yeah, I follow also the work there of the fund manager invested in Praetorian Capital, H. Guppy on X. He also has a whole team around which places will the rich people or the wealthy people or the mobile people move to in the future, and which regions will grow. And yeah, I think places like this here, many places, but also in Europe, and also where he is in Puerto Rico, I believe. Do I say that correctly? There's one state, an island in the Caribbean that's also considered a state of the United States, where you actually have no capital gains tax. Huh? Even though you're an American citizen, and you live actually in America, it's just on a Caribbean island where there's not much to see, but you don't have capital gains tax then. And I'm just, but the problem is it's only for 10 years, and after that it could fall away. But yeah, like that's probably one of those places where likely it will grow, because where else can you go as an American citizen? Even if you move to Dubai, or you still have the capital gains tax. Like, but the Trump administration is changing it a bit, but it's a real problem. The citizenship-based taxation system in the United States. But actually, if you go to, is it Puerto Rico? Huh? Forgot the name. Then actually you don't have that. So that's a place that likely will grow. Huh? There are other places also. The place with low taxation. Yi says Dubai is a shallow nightmare. Actually, I know what you mean. It's true that there's a lot of supercars here and wealth floundering, and that's true. But I wouldn't call it shallow, because it's also a family place. It's what coming up for me, like a lot of things around children also, the only problem is you can't get a citizenship. That's true, and that's for me a reason not to become a resident in a place like this, because I think like that's important. But yeah, I think they'll do very well probably, and are still really undervalued. Actually, who's investing in the stock market of Dubai? I'm not. I don't even know anything about it. Like, I'm not investing in Dubai. Like, nobody is probably, but this probably exists. And this city is as impressive as a city like New York or Miami or LA. Actually, more impressive than LA, sadly, due to the mismanagement there. And Seattle, same. So, I mean, I wouldn't call it shallow. Will the market pump continue, or are we in for a second crash? Yeah, I already discussed that. Just says the best place with a lot of developments are Southeast Asian countries. Very safe and open to foreigners. So Southeast Asian, that should be then Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Bali. I believe that these are Southeast Asian countries. I've been there, but I think Thailand is overrated for foreigners. But it's also, of course, like looking for a girlfriend, especially in Thailand. I think that's maybe a bit overrated. Philippines, yeah, has become popular destination for white men looking for a pretty woman that has more feminine and traditional values. Philippines is probably still possible, but Thailand, I'm not so sure about that. But I have no experience. I only was there as a tourist. Malaysia, yeah, I don't know. Singapore is a little bit like Dubai. You can't get a citizenship. Can only get a residency. It's quite expensive. That's the problem with Dubai. It's quite expensive also. But yeah, I mean, yeah. But yeah, that's possible. That Southeast Asian countries are safe countries and open to foreigners. But I think a real big problem that many countries have, and only the United States does not have, is that they expect people to integrate. That's also true in Europe. I'm from Belgium. People expect you to learn Dutch and to like adopt the local values somewhat. Um, and otherwise, it's harder to like have you have other people make you feel like you're part of the group. And so and I think that's all around the world. Also in certain Asian countries, it's actually very strong, like Japan or China. I think you will never be considered one of them, even when you speak the language. So it's actually very racial based. That's the same is true in Africa and Kenya. A white guy that speaks Swahili is considered funny, but not one of them because he's white. So only in America you can be actually considered American independent of your race, even independent of your bad accent. You can be considered an American citizen and as one of them. And yeah, that's rare. I don't believe that's the case in Thailand or Philippines or so yeah. That's why I would also not underestimate the United States as a continued destination for immigrants. Decentralized Dave says the reciprocal tariffs were paused from the 9th April to July the 7th. Will the tariff return in July have no significant negative impact on the risk on assets? The tariff return. But yeah, I think pausing for politicians means cancelling. And temporary means for good. So I think it's pretty much cancelled. But I have to admit I'm not really studying this in depth, Dave, and you might have a different view on it. Interested to hear about it. Yeah. Let me look at the other questions here. Just me says the. Oh wait. Yeah, I think Trump is I think that he's overly negative on the trade deficit. Like I don't like, and Warren Buffett also says that it's not good to have a trade deficit. It means that your money goes out, and in exchange you get goods and services from other countries. But the money that goes out, they will use to buy assets from you, such as stocks or land, agricultural land, and that's not good. You're buying something such as products or services from another country, but in exchange you're giving away your assets. That's not a good deal, says Warren Buffett about trade deficits. And Trump seems to think also like that, but I don't agree with that. Like, that's not the case. It's just trade. And these people, they're willing to give you products and services, and they have more of that, and we want to buy it because, well, it's a better deal, and they do it cheaper. And on the other hand, they want to buy your stocks or your land. Yeah, that's just, I think that's healthy trade. So I think the trade deficit is not a problem. What is a problem is indeed unemployment. When you lose big sectors such as the auto industry or textile industry or just mom and pop stores or that causes lots of unemployment. That's true, but I think the solution to that is just innovation. Like the old answer, I believe, is the true answer. Is that you just need to move on and create something new that people want. If you and that's for countries also valid. And but what is true is unfair competition, and I think Trump is right about that, and is finally really taking on China. Like unfair competition is that if you do put up more barriers for a neighboring country to sell your products and services in your country, and but the other one doesn't do it, yeah, that's not fair. And that's China is doing. Like all these services that we use in Europe from America, like YouTube, Google, ChatGPT, X, like it's all banned in China. That is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. But I cannot live in China because my phone is not even, like, nothing is working. Like, okay, but this is the like that's these are the prime products of the United States, and China just bans them. And on the other hand, China can sell all their stuff in America. Okay, it's not so clear cut. There are exceptions to this. America has banned Huawei to sell their phones there, whereas China did not ban iPhones. So, and there are some other things also, like some examples you can give, but yeah, that does stand out to me. That that it's not so fair competition, and yeah, from that perspective, I agree. It makes sense to have a higher tariff for the United States on things coming from China than China should have from things coming from America, because in other areas you just ban U.S. services, or they just steal them. Like they don't like the intellectual property. You can just steal it, copy it in China, and yeah, okay, but I mean, you're gonna get a reaction. So this is the reaction. And there's also something else actually. Actually, China was the one that started selling U.S. treasuries. China had a much bigger position in U.S. treasuries, but started silently, publicly, but selling it off already for years, I believe. And actually is investing a lot less in U.S. these days and more in gold and other countries, or other treasuries from other countries, and that's good for them. But you know, if you don't do that side of the deal, the other side of the deal is gonna fall away also. So that was a bit the deal. Okay, you can sell all your Chinese products in the US, and you buy with the money we give to you, you buy our treasuries. That's how it started, the love affair. But if they stop buying the treasuries, then the US is gonna say, okay, but then you cannot so easily sell anymore your products here neither. So I think these are the things going on. Anthony says it's not taught in school. I don't know what she's talking about. Anthony Chiari. He's talking about how to build your network. That it's not taught in school. Making money, because their mothers and fathers also don't have money. So, and some parents, they want their kids actually to suffer and not learn how to make money, and have the same hardship, go through the same hardship as their children as they do. And therefore you should not send your kids to college, she says. But put the money in education at home, in how to invest, finance, and not college. Yeah, I fully agree with that. It depends where, but even in Europe, I had free college at the time, free university, but it was still like just a waste. I was not able to do it. Actually, I studied architecture. I did learn some valuable things there. Be creative, designing. That was valuable for me. But other than that, like it was really not worthwhile to finish that 5 year study and get the degree. Like, what kind of future would I get with that? Being an architect, but an architect is highly regulated area. Like you have to work very hard for not that much money. Like these kind of jobs, even when 20 years ago when I was studying lawyer and engineer maybe yes, but that was not my talent. A lawyer also not, but yeah, architecture, yeah. But just I was very bad at studying, memorizing all that stuff. I really, that was so hard for me. And even all these complicated things like mathematics or just certain things, physics, like I found this really difficult actually. I'm not good at that. I'm more a people guy, and so yeah, it was not for me. But yeah, that's also an area where I agree with actually. Who was that that gave that speech about the competitiveness of the United States? That they don't learn their children valuable things like they do in China. In China, parents want their children to become engineers, and in Europe or in US, yeah, they don't learn so many valuable crafts and professions. Yeah, I think there's truth to that also. But yeah, college is certainly overrated. I agree with that, but it depends also on the person. Like actually, for women, it's a lot better college. They do a 4 year study. It's not good for them to become mothers and housewives. It's terrible. But actually, like it pays off for them if they want to make money. If they have a degree, they can get a better job and they get a higher pay than if they don't do the university or the college, and so for them that pays off. But for man, I mean, you know, like the job you're gonna get is very low paying, and you still have to do it all. You have to climb the ladder for 10 years, the corporate ladder, to be able to make an income that is gonna be able to provide for your family. And if you really want to make money, you have to start your own business anyway. So it's only for an entry position. It's not to be set for life at all. And so yeah, that's a problem of college. So good comments, Anthony Chiari. Decentralized Dave says gold mining is still below its 2018 high. I believe we are still in gold bull run, and once it corrects, I believe it comes back in coming years, which might mean we are near the end of an equity secular bull market. I believe equities and gold can't both shine at the same time. Yeah, so I agree with that. That's a very good remark, and I really love about Decentralized Dave is also studying my arguments that I've made in this area, one of the few, and I love that. So gold mining production is still below the 2018 high, he says, but actually, are the numbers out already for 2024? I'm not sure. I've forgotten a bit, but it's almost equal. Yeah, I think I shared a post about that, but what from the study I did is that once gold is back, the production is going up again. That means prices are high enough, which is the case already for a couple of years, because it only went down in 2019, and in starting 2020 the production was higher. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, the production always went up. So that means prices are high enough for mining production to go up again. already many years now, and it's not the start of a gold bull market. Price is already tripled now, from $1,200 to $3,600. Yeah, I mentioned earlier in the video, I talked about commodity bull market. What's lacking is other commodities. Gold is the only one doing well. Other commodities, on average, no, there is no commodity bull market there, and there's clearly still a stock bull market. If you look at the numbers, gold had a strong, is the exception, huh? And gold had a very strong rebound here, huh? But I think it's due to other factors, not due to a true commodity bull market, but due to other factors. Such as central banks starting to buy gold because of the multipolar world that we are getting. The West still has gold in the central banks, but has not been stashing up. But many Eastern and Asian countries have been stashing, China also, and that causes an upwards move in the gold price. I think that's been the main driver, and the war in Russia, 2022, 2023 starting, also caused an upwards move in the gold price, because they were excluded from the financial system. So yeah, that's gonna happen then. But other commodities are not following, and yeah, that's why I'm skeptical. I think, like before, I think we're somewhere like, and the second part of the 80s, 85 to 87, 8, we also had a bounce. Was it only gold? I'm not sure if it was other commodities also, but gold for sure. And but it was just a bounce, huh? And that's the scenario that I believe has just happened. Though it's true that gold mining production did go down and has basically gone sideways for 5 years. That's true. That's an argument in favor of. But then still, like even if that's the case, like there's only a few more years left then for gold to go up. If you look at previous cycles, and but okay, that's true. That's possible. But I don't think it's probable. But I do agree that it's wise to actually have a gold position always, no matter what climate you're in, and that's something I'm lacking currently. But not too big, 5% or so. Dubai, can you see Dubai? What a beautiful tower. So you have there. This is actually the second center of Dubai, the marina. They have their 5 towers of 100 floors. Huh? They even have a tower of 80 floors there called the Address, with a pool on the top, on the 80th floor, a massive, beautiful infinity pool. But that's just the second center of Dubai. The first center is where the, you can't see it from here, it's where the Burj Khalifa is, the highest tower in the residential tower in the world, 160 floors, huh? And they call this low season because temperatures are sometimes 40 degrees now, but I don't see any low season here. Packed everywhere. But prices are lower than 3 months ago around Christmas, considerably lower, which is very nice, huh? That they have the prices based on supply and demand. Yeah. For 1.5 hours in, But I like Switzerland a lot. You can have their tax agreements if you are a high net worth, and you can end up paying a lot less than if you would pay capital gains tax, and it's a fixed amount that you pay independent of your what happens after or how much your net worth went up or down. It's just a fixed amount you agree. I think that's also a nice arrangement that you have in some countries. Also have that in Italy. Um, lump sum taxation, is that called? In Dubai, actually, the taxes do go up. They have now introduced a 5% VAT tax. That's a pity. That does happen. Also in Kenya, I know they are increasing taxes on fuel, and also they introduced a 15% tax on interest, earned interest on bank accounts. Yeah, so taxes go up in certain countries, whereas in other countries, these are rare countries, they go down. And so that's something I really like about Argentina. Likely taxes will go down there, or they are going down. That's very nice. Yeah. Also, corporate tax. I believe they have a corporate tax now in Dubai. That's new. But no personal individual tax. Huh? That's still no income tax. Huh? So if you make money in Dubai, it's tax free as an employee. But and you live in Dubai, it's tax free. That's quite amazing, huh? That's why many people come to work here, huh? Of all kind of, even for example, a higher paid individual like a hotel manager. He moves to here, and because he has a high position, he can actually bring his family also maybe after a year or so, or immediately. And he makes a lot more here than in the West. Huh? Not per se because of the wages, but because there are no taxes. Any other comments, guys? I'm gonna call it a day, huh? Thank you all for your great questions and remarks. That keeps me going. You saw the nightfall here in Dubai. Very beautiful. I wish you all a great remaining day. Thanks so much for joining. See ya.